everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you from a slightly different angle because my computer died. So I have had my computer since 2013, so I figured it was only a matter of time before it finally decided to kick the bucket. However, I do have other devices. It's not like I can't film this video, but unfortunately, you know, I had to do some digging around to figure out what the best way is to film this on my other computer, so it might take a while for this video to get to you guys as well, because now I have nothing to edit the thumbnail on. So yeah, this puts me in quite a predicament, as I also happen to have drawn several potential sticker designs that I wanted to color in Photoshop today. I happened to have just drawn them last night, and I was really excited to get to those today and design those stickers, and I can't now. But anyway, so I read quite a few books in the first half of July, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, not my computer dying. So firstly, we have The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. This is about a woman who is a guide guiding a prince and his entourage through some random place, and the prince is a just really egotistical dude, and he's just not a good dude, and he gets possessed by a haunt, basically a, you know, incorporeal ghost guy, and the main character is the only one who knows that the prince has been possessed by the incorporeal ghost guy, and she falls in love with him. And so it's really sad when obviously the incorporeal ghost guy, who was using the prince's body to get somewhere, was eventually going to obviously leave the prince back to his own devices and is gone. And this does have a sequel that is already available to request on NetGalley, despite the fact that this book just came out. So I'm really excited to read that next. A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. This is a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities with Faye. I have not actually read A Tale of Two Cities, which might seem really strange because I am a person who once read a ton of classics for fun, and I read Bleak House of my own volition because it was for a paper that we got to choose our own topics on, and I chose the thickest book I could find for some reason. So it is really weird to me that I have not read A Tale of Two Cities. However, if you've ever seen the movie A Simple Wish, the main character's dad is auditioning for a musical of A Tale of Two Cities, and A Far, Far Better Thing that I Do Now is like what he, you know, the main part of one of the songs. And so every time I see this title, I automatically just start like singing that. But anyway, so this was a good book. It really took into account the fact that basically the main character of this book and another character do actually look alike coincidentally in A Tale of Two Cities. So it is kind of funny to me that they basically made it so that our main character is trying to go after his changeling, basically, and then he ends up having to help his changeling and get revenge on the Fae. As you can see, I am trying to talk as much as possible to not have to cut out any pauses, because I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do as far as that on this computer. I already edited on this computer, but I did the preliminary editing directly in the player, and I don't think I can do that on this one. So we'll just see how that goes. So anyway, Witch King by Martha Wells. This was a doozy to get through. I found this really difficult to read for some reason. Like, this literally makes the Wheel of Time look like Winnie the Pooh or something. I could not tell what was going on for like half of this book. And I think that that's probably Martha Wells's writing style not really jiving with me, because I did read the Murderbot series and I really enjoyed it, but I think I had the same issue. It's just that those books are so short that I didn't really have that problem. I could kind of like figure it out, but for some reason on here it was just really hard to get through. I didn't end up enjoying this book at all, even though it did have a lot of things that were really interesting and all of that. It just kind of did a really bad job at describing things and whatnot, and I think it just was not really the book for me. But that does not really say anything about it being a bad book. There wasn't anything I disliked about it. It just wasn't my favorite. The one that really wasn't my favorite is the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I don't know. So anyway, this was really boring, unfortunately. It was really just about the 6 main characters just either hooking up with each other or having some complicated relationships with each other, foremost other than the plot, basically, like the head of the plot. This was basically just a whole bunch of character dynamics that were trying to make a point but failed, and I just don't get it. I don't understand why this book is so hyped. It was not interesting to me at all. It was, the only part that got interesting was the twist about one of them having to die, and finally I was like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do about this, and then the way that they do something about that ended up being just like, okay. So ultimately this book was not for me. It was really boring. I really am sorry to anyone who likes this book, because I know there are a lot of you out there, because this book is hyped as heck. All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. This is a book that I think I have a bit of a complicated relationship with, in that I liked the vibe. I liked the idea. It actually reminds me a little bit of a story I wrote in high school. It's basically about a girl who has magical capabilities and her best friend who is a scientist, and they both kind of end up having the same goals while also conflicting with each other throughout the entire book. And I definitely really liked it, but I also just, there were some things about it that I just didn't quite get, and that felt like convenient plot devices. And then there was also a section at the very beginning where the main character is trying to protect a bird from a cat, and the way that she kind of like throws the cat away and everything just really made me sad, because anything that has to do with hurting an animal, especially a cat, in a book just makes me feel really weird. So ultimately I really enjoyed this book. It just wasn't like the perfect book that I think it really truly could. The Search for Us by Suzanne Azim Boyer. This is about 2 kids who don't know that they're siblings until they take a DNA test, and they both because they're both trying to locate their estranged father, one of whom never knew their father, and the other one hadn't seen him since she was really, really little, so she doesn't really have very many memories of him either, and they're both trying to find him for different reasons, and they end up meeting each other through the DNA test having been done, and locating each other, and they end up having to, work together to try and find him. And this was a really good book in that I thought that the characters were good. I thought the character dynamics were really good. I liked the whole idea of the 2 main characters not really being connected to their Iranian heritage, because their father, who is the Iranian parent, is not present in either of their lives, and they wonder why. They don't know what happened. They have to fill in the pieces. There are definitely some really good messages in there about parents, and how absent parents are actually very present in their absence and all of that, and it was just very interesting that way. But I think I had the same issue that I had with her other book, which was Jasmine Zumide Needs a Win, because that one also, basically both books start with, the main character has a very specific goal. We have like a college-bound teenager who in this book wants to go to college specifically to open a bakery that sells a very specific thing, with a very specific goal in mind of selling that business and making money. And then in Jasmine Zumide Needs a Win, it's basically she's trying to go to NYU specifically to interview Chrissy Hind of the Pretenders, basically. And so it's like in both books here we have like we have someone with a really oddly specific goal. It's not just like, oh, I want to open a bakery one day. It's like, I want to open a bakery to sell this specific product and go on Shark Tank. Like, it's so, and then eventually sell the business and make millions. Like, it's like, that's so specific. And I'm like, dude. And then also some stuff with the writing and the dialogue was very similar as well, in that people don't talk like that. The dialogue was just very stilted. Stuff was just worded so weirdly. So this book could have been so much better, but I really liked the plot and the message for sure. and The Baby Group by Jade Lee Wright. This comes out this month. I got a copy on NetGalley. This is actually written by someone I know from BookTube, and she made really good videos about thrillers, and I knew she was an aspiring thriller author, so I'm really, really happy to see that she wrote, that she has something published now, and so I wanted to check it out, and this was really good. So thrillers are not my preferred genre by any stretch of the imagination. I am not really a thriller reader, but I do enjoy them when I do read one. And this is about a girl or a woman who is pregnant, and she and her fiance move to a small town, and they don't really have any friends. And so the thing that she decides to do to make some friends is to join a group, a class for pregnant women. And so she gets to know the other women in that class, and she thinks that, her husband can hang out with, the husbands and all of that. And then also one thing I liked is that one of the pregnant women actually has a wife. So there is that, which was great. So basically, and what she doesn't know is that someone has concocted a very elaborate scheme to steal her baby. And it's very weird in that I really liked this book in that we really don't know what's going on. And then when we actually find out at the end what it was that was going on, it's wild. Like, I definitely did not, obviously I knew that someone was trying to do something, and you can tell who is trying to do something and kind of what's going on, but the reasoning and the just how this all comes to play was such a complete surprise, and it was just so weird. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I also thought, there were things that I thought that I didn't like about this book as well, but it turned out that given the twist, it made complete sense. So I thought that there was some stereotyping of polyamory going on, and I didn't really like that kind of stereotype, but it turns out that that was entirely, everything going on with that was concocted based on a particular reasoning for something. None of it was even really happening. And so I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. The only thing that really made me go really, I don't know about that, is the fact that there is a lot of actual detail as to what they learn in the class, that type of stuff. And so there are things about, pregnancy and birth that made me think I could have happily gone my whole life not knowing that. Thank you for that detail that I really did not want. But I can't really dock it points for that because there are probably a lot of people who are going to read this book and be like, oh, I was thinking of having, I am thinking of having a baby, so I'm glad that I knew that, and I know that now. So that detail probably could be really good for a lot of people. So it was just me in particular that I happen to be squeamish about the very topic of pregnancy and birth that it just makes me go blah. And so that detail was just really, really a lot for me. But the story and the book and everything, it was really, really good, and I really enjoyed reading it. The Night Hunt by Alexandra Christo, I can't talk. This is about an immortal being who has lost her immortality, which is a really good concept. But overall, and I thought this book was pretty good, but it was ultimately pretty boring, and I don't really have any thoughts on it. It was kind of good, and it had a lot of action in it, and there were certain parts as far as the action goes where I was like, yes, but ultimately it was just okay. It wasn't anything that I had any particular thoughts about. And finally, Chef's Secret by Kelly Yang. This is the next book in the Front Desk series, and I love Kelly Yang's books so much because she creates so much urgency for the main characters regarding just everything that's going on. She turns just the smallest things into a huge plot point, a huge urgency where you just can't help but feel for the main character. And in this particular one, the main character is, you know, he is trying to omit information that he thinks that he is doing people a favor by saying a particular thing that's not true or omitting something that's not true. And then it turns out that, like, no, that was a bad idea, and it just spirals out of control. And this was just so, so good. And by the way, she has an upcoming book that's for adults, and I'm so excited. Those are the books that I read in the first half of July. So thank you so much for hanging with me in this really weird video that is just so not at the angle that I want or anything. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope I will troubleshoot my video troubles soon and get back to you soon with a new video. Bye!